CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Good evening. Hudson Mack is away. I'm Andrew Johnson. A fish farm in Tofino is culling its salmon after discovering a deadly virus. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has quarantined the Mainstream Canada farm at Dixon Bay and is now depopulating the farm. Hundreds of thousands of fish will be removed from the site and then killed. The farm was quarantined earlier this week after a virus known as IHN was discovered during a routine test on Monday. The infectious disease kills 100% of the Atlantic salmon exposed to it. This is the first diagnosis of IHN among farmed Atlantic salmon in BC since 2003. Mainstream is expected to lose millions of dollars as a result of the outbreak. BC Transit wants to help graduating students celebrate safely this year by giving them an early grad gift. More than 16,000 grade 12 students from across the province will be receiving Grad Passes from BC Transit. The pass allows students to enjoy 2 days of free travel within their community in the month of June. The goal is to encourage young people to use the bus instead of drinking and driving.
Grad Pass is intended to be a reward for people who are graduating from high school. It's also to promote the safest way to travel. And more importantly, we want to encourage young people to become transit users for life. If you're going to be drinking, there is no safer way to get home. We're one of the great options, so are taxis. We're not here to encourage young people to drink, but I think we all remember graduation. For some of us, it wasn't that long ago, and I think we all need to be responsible about our choices. And if you make a plan before you go out to celebrate, and that plan includes BC Transit, then people are getting home safe.
The Grad Pass program started in Victoria 22 years ago. Souk RCMP had to shut down a busy road for hours today after a multi-vehicle crash. At around 8:30 this morning, 3 cars collided on Souk Road. Police say a driver heading west crossed the center line and struck 2 cars head-on. 1 car ended up in the ditch and the other came to a halt at the side of the road. Firefighters had to pull the drivers out of the vehicles with the jaws of life. Police say 2 adults and a baby were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. 3 fishermen are back home tonight after being stranded for 10 days on an island in Hecate Strait. The men were found around 10 this morning. They were on a fishing trip when large waves capsized their boat about 100 kilometers south of Prince Rupert. The boat did not have an emergency radio on board, which would have notified search and rescue. The men then boarded a life raft and paddled to Banks Island, where they remained until being discovered by the crew of a passing ship.
Their story was that their 50-foot longliner, the Pacific Siren, sank approximately 10 days earlier, and that they managed to get ashore using their dinghy, and that they basically were there for the previous 10 days surviving on clams and seaweed and waiting to be rescued. No mayday call was sent by themselves. They didn't have time. Their vessel capsized in about 10 seconds.
The men were transferred onto a Canadian Coast Guard ship. Once aboard, they were checked out by medical staff. They are now home in Prince Rupert. The Canadian Coast Guard is closing 3 of its 5 marine communications centres in the province, bringing operations together in Victoria and Prince Rupert. The federal government says it will close communication centres in Vancouver, Comox and Tofino by 2015. The Tofino and Comox centres' work will be handled out of Prince Rupert, and the Vancouver centre's operations will be moved to Victoria. The move comes as 1,000 Coast Guard and fisheries employees received notice that their jobs could be affected. The 2 remaining centres will undergo major upgrades. Nanaimo RCMP have a new set of eyes dedicated to keep watch on the harbour city's shorelines. RCMP officers launched its new boat into the waters today. The Zodiac Hurricane will have constables patrolling lakes and the Nanaimo harbour all summer, especially during high traffic times, conducting safety checks. Mounties say they'll be looking for impaired boaters, life jackets, and boaters operating at dangerous speeds.
We'll be doing safety checks on the vessels out there, and we're going to be looking for life jackets, fire extinguishers if they're required on their boat, flares, ladders if their boats are big enough, flashlights, navigation lights if their boats have them, and require some of the equipment.
The primary operator of the boat will be retired Sergeant Kirby Anderson, who has recently joined the RCMP Reserve.